Hi, thanks for joining us today. My name is Shaumik Ghosh. I'm Assistant Editor at the Economic Times CISO. And joining me today, I've got Vinay Bhide. He's the Associate Vice President at Tata Communications. Vinay, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you very much, Soumi.
Well, now, when we talk about SSE, ever since SSE was conceptualized first by Gartner in 2021, it has found itself in the middle of security conversations, thanks to its capability of protecting networks and workloads, irrespective of where they are located. Additionally, an IDC survey also reveals that about 28% of the organizations are now looking for solutions such as SSC that offers unified security with unparalleled visibility. So if you would want to comment on this trend that we've been seeing of unified security products, and also why is SSE coming to the forefront of security conversations?
Okay, that's really a great question, Shami. If you look at, we talk about the COVID era, okay, what happened in the COVID, like most of the hybrid workforce, and that was a shock to the entire organization that overnight people have to go in a hybrid workforce, okay. Secondly, prior to that, the cloudification has started, right, and most of the enterprise wanted to shift their applications, workloads to the cloud, right. There are many reasons behind it. One is definitely from the centralized infrastructure to the distributed infrastructure. Secondly, optimize the cost, okay. And main CXOs wanted to more focused on their business rather than focusing on infrastructure, right. And that's where they have started, the cloudifications and everything. Now, with these emerging technologies, it was very difficult for on-prem or captive technology to take that particular load. Okay, almost 600 plus percent, the technologies, okay, literally fail because if you look at, let's say, firewalls or VPN concentrators or the endpoint protections, altogether will have a different the controls, different portals to manage, okay, and again it is not an unified, okay, and that's actually created a difficult IT management or security management for the customers, right, and the enterprise segment. Now, how the SSE helps there? SSE brings a unified platform, okay, and a unified architecture, unified dashboards, reporting, okay, and further with these emerging, the technology APIs, you can again integrate with your different dashboards and the portals and your in-house developments. Okay, and that's where bringing the key controls like web gateway or your firewall, okay, DLP, right, that's where actually they solve the problem of accessing those distributed application across the different multi-cloud environment, okay, and that's where the SSE started adding the value, and the shift has started from there, that CXO started realizing the value of moving from the distributed to an unified approach, okay, having the single dashboard, single view, and the dream of most of the CXO to have a one security infosec posture, okay, that is started coming true in the SSE, okay, and that's where the SSE has actually changed the entire look at towards the cybersecurity operations.
Understood. Thanks for that. Now, Vinay, if I take off from some of the points that you just mentioned here, on an average, an average organization, a large organization uses on an average about 76 security products. In your experience of working with different vendors, different customers in different verticals, what are some of the biggest roadblocks you've noticed when it comes to visibility and controls?
Yeah. So now if you look at, with these different controls, one important thing is maintaining the SLAs, okay, maintaining the KPIs, okay. That's one of the biggest problem, because if any IT organization, any, the CXOs or CISO wanted to track their SLA, they will, the important, the SLA is a zero incident or a minimum incident. How they will track, okay. So they will end up in monitoring the multiple SLAs then consolidate that, and they're not going to achieve any result out of it, right? So that's where it becomes and more difficult. Second is the management of different layer. Okay, when we talk about the NIST framework, or when we talk about the defense in depth architecture, you have a multiple layer of technologies: perimeter, distribution layer, okay, and the user layer. So all those managing become very difficult, and bringing an edge to closer to an user group, that actually adds a lot of value in terms of accessibility towards the applications, okay, then easy access to hybrid workforce, okay, in a different metropolitan city, non-metro cities, okay, people started moving and operating out of there, so making that easy availability to them, all the applications and their business requirement, right, which was very difficult to manage with all this, the distributed technologies, having the multiple 76 product what you mentioned, okay, we start from your endpoint protection, DLP, then you have a encryption, okay. So when all these combine to an one unified platform, one suite, and it again gives you the complete control in your entire environment, and again the visibility, which actually help you to minimize your incident resolution time as well. Okay, and that's where the this SAC has cleared those roadblocks, okay, where people where organization used to struggle to resolve this incident, right? Identify in which pocket there are incidents are happening. Many times the incidents happen, the business loss has done, and CXO will come to know later, right? By the time the loss is already done. But that those problems now slowly accepting the SSC actually started reducing those problems.
Understood. Now, you did bring up a very good point around, the mean time to detect and resolve cyber attacks. Now, we have been hearing this debate on repel versus restrict in cybersecurity for quite some time. And now I think CISOs have come to terms with the fact that you will be undergoing cyber attacks. But then the most important thing is how quickly are you able to detect them, and how quickly are you able to resolve those security incidents. So if you could tell us a little bit more about, how is SSE helping these CISOs slash down MTTD and MTTR?
Sure. So if you look at in the traditional approach, okay, the management layer was very difficult because it was a complex environment, so complex management. Okay. Secondly, again your transport layer, okay, or your network layer is again the complex, because you will end up in leveraging the lease line, MPLS, frame relay, okay, private network, right? So for any CXOs, if any incident happen with this mesh technology, it is very difficult to trace, okay, where this particular incident happened. Okay, they literally have to get down into a very deep dive level of looking at the MAC tables or leveraging the tools, where they will look at the logs and identify. By the time incidents spread across, okay, now with this SSE, okay, gives you a visibility dashboard, unified dashboard. Okay, it can integrate with your MDR. Okay, so what we have done is along with the SSE, we have created a package where the MDR is also integrated with it. Okay, then we are having a lot of threat information which also integrate and do the correlation with those SSE, the dashboard information, right? So those actually help you to detect. When we used to say that predictive controls or proactive monitoring, okay, that's actually become a reality in the SSE. So you actually able to identify those threats proactively, predictively, leveraging the external and internal threat information, because you have a full visibility, and you are having again the easy integration with the multiple technologies. Okay, so that actually gives you a very good correlation leveraging your MDR platform, and you will be able to detect all these the emerging threats, okay, either before happening, or if there are any incidents are happening in your network, you can in a short period of time you will be able to detect that. Okay, and taking the action is again equally easy because it is a centralized control. So applying the policies, applying the control, okay, it's again the unified. For example, in the traditional way, you may have to apply the policy on the firewall, you may have to apply the policy on the web gateway, you have to apply the separate policy on the DLP. Okay, now here you apply one click and the policy is applicable to everywhere. okay, and that actually help you to resolve that particular incident.
That's a great point, and I think with maybe one click helping you resolve all of these points, you can also slash down on the number of people that you have working in your security teams. And like we are faced with a skills shortage in cybersecurity. So great point there, Vinay. Now coming to the next point that I wanted to bring up, and that is when it comes to IT security budgets. Now, although the purse strings have kind of loosened up, CISOs are able to get a slightly higher security budget compared to what it was maybe 10 years back. But then, what best practices would you want to share with CISOs to ensure that they're able to get a good return on investment on their security products? And
Okay, so firstly, I would say that there is a large shift, okay, from the traditional IT security management to the modern IT security management. Now, board expect their CIOs, CXOs, CISO to focus on the business rather than focusing on these tasks. Okay. Absolutely. Second thing you rightly mentioned, there is a skill shortage. Okay, so with the small CISO organization, it is very difficult for them to actually bring those skills, okay, and bring the requirement of addressing those issues in a shorter period of time. For example, leveraging the automation and orchestration, okay, leveraging the AI ML, the algorithm, and accordingly use them in an appropriate way to identify and resolve your threats. Okay, so in this scenario, okay, the best practices when we say, okay, so in the traditional way we used to carry the playbooks and the workbooks, okay, then use cases we used to document, but and L1 or L2 layer used to review that and address those issues. But now we don't have that kind of time because the threats are spreading like one click, right? So you also need to be on that agile, and you should have that kind of speed to resolve those issues, right? And that's where these technologies like orchestration, automation play a very key role, and adding to an AI ML will actually help to eliminate the or maybe to minimize the efforts of the L1 to detect manually detect those, okay, specific threats and address it, right? So that's where these automated processes help you okay, to automatically escalate those issues to a next level, okay, and get those resolved, right? So these are the uh, emerging technology related practices if organization follow, and they can leverage the partner like an Tata Communication, okay, to bring those off the shelf develop playbooks and deploy in their environment will actually help them to more focus on their business rather than the specific the developments requirement.
well, thanks for that. And when I, to wind up for the last question, we are going to do a little bit of crystal ball gazing into the future. So we've seen a lot of new technologies that's being, a lot of new technologies being absorbed into the cybersecurity space. For instance, you've got ZTNA now, you've got SWG, you've got CASB. If you could tell me, from your experience or the way you see it, how do you see these technologies playing out in 2024 and beyond? And also, what puts Tata Communications in a position to actually be able to successfully and efficiently integrate all of these offerings into one unified platform?
Okay, so Tata Communication definitely has a platform called an SSC. Okay, and there are a lot of other the platforms and a lot of the partners available. Okay, however, definitely we work along with them, but what value add we do on the top of that, we create our own wrappers. Okay, and how those wrappers help is definitely one is the agile deployment, okay, with the multiple the models of the deployment, right? Secondly, configurations, okay, the auto configurations, then auto deployment for those specific users, onboarding of those specific users, right? So all those are very important to us when we talk about the SSC as an one-stop solution. Secondly, when we talk about the overall the improvement required, okay, into the cyber security management, from the simplicity point of view, okay, where with this quick agile deployment you should be able to control your environment, right? What is happening? Okay, you should have a great visibility into that environment. That's where you will be in a position to control that, right? And that's where it brings you to an distributed technology, to an unified technology. Again, now you have taken the right the names like ZTNA, okay, which is one of the greatest approach, okay, where zero trust but the review every access, right? Then you talk about the SWG, which is nothing but the old software web gateway, or your proxy, or maybe a firewall as a service, okay, or a DLP, or maybe at the endpoint as a service. So all those are, when they are integrated, okay, and that integration becomes an easy, it becomes an one it's very easy to create a unified platform for the organizations, and which gives you the common infosec security posture, all right? Secondly, again, controlling when there is a disaster, okay, or certain has asked for the building the crisis management plan. So when we talk about the crisis management plan, the CXO must have the complete view about their infrastructure, okay. Any part of the infrastructure, anything happens, they should be able to detect that on the right time, okay, and then address that. So that is become and feasible and possible, okay, with these kind of emerging technologies like an SSE, MDR, okay, and that actually help the organization to improvise their cyber security.
All right. All right. Understood. Well, thank you so much for joining us, viewers. That was Mr. Vinay Bhide, the Associate Vice President at Tata Communications. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for explaining SSE to us and how it stands to reshape or redefine cybersecurity in 2024 and beyond. Thanks again. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.